Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Hello, hello, hello. This is Adolf. I have with me Jake.
Howdy.
And today we're doing a new podcast about all the Disney movies that are being delayed because of coronavirus. We already just reported yesterday, April 3rd. We're recording this on April 4th at 1:40 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to have that caveat whenever we record these podcasts because it's just a whole lot easier to have that. Things may have changed after we record and post this podcast. We're trying to cover news as much as we can, but it is what it is. It's an moving target, you know? Right, Jake?
Yep. Welcome to the pajama apocalypse.
All right, so let's get started here. Black Widow, the Marvel Cinematic Universe Black Widow prequel, was scheduled for May 1, now is coming out on November. Specifically, November 6th.
That's wishful thinking on Disney's part. Just saying.
Yeah, all these dates can change and might change as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, consider all these dates are as etched in stone as much as New Mutants is.
It's all these dates are etched in the Etch-a-Sketch, and they could be shaked up any minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of wishful thinking in Hollywood right now.
All right, so Black Widow, and then this is going to push out the Eternals. So it's going to be a big train of things that get pushed. So Eternals used to have that spot. Now Eternals is going to get pushed back to February 12th, 2021. But then that pushes out Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, which then gets pushed to May 7th, 2021. And Doctor Strange 2 is now November 5th, 2021. Thor Love and Thunder is now February 18th. Black Panther 2 is still scheduled for May 6th.
Love and Thunder, it's 2022.
Yeah.
And Black Panther is May 6th, 2022. And Captain Marvel is July 8th, 2022. So some of these 2022 dates are probably going to be replaced with the 2021 movies, maybe. Unless we have a window between waves of COVID-19 that they can release movies in. Because the 1918 pandemic, the 3 lethal waves of it, there were breaks in between each wave. So life could go back to normal-ish for a few months before everybody freaked out again and had to hunker down.
So all this is, like you said, about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and all these dates are very aspirational and, you know, like you said before, not set in stone, set in Etch-a-Sketch. So everything getting pushed back. Now, I don't remember having a date for Black Panther 2 or Captain Marvel 2 before this. Do you remember that or no?
Nope. They weren't announced. Yeah, so they buried the lead with this.
And we knew about Thor Love and Thunder, but I don't remember having a date for that either.
Not in stone. They still haven't officially announced if Sam Raimi's doing Doctor Strange 2 or not.
So, all right, one thing at a time. Let's start off with Black Widow. Jake, what are your thoughts on Black Widow being the only Marvel Cinematic Universe movie 2020, God willing?
Oh, that'd be awesome. It has more of a chance of making a lot more money.
It's so weird because this is a movie that people have been wanting for years and years, and, you know, now it's kind of too late. It feels like this should have been done after Iron Man 2, not now.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we don't even know if there's going to be any movie theaters to open. I mean, the words on. Some of the business sites, things don't look good for some of the theater chains.
Like AMC is not apparently going to come back, maybe, you know.
Yeah, Regal nobody's talking about it, but Regal filed for bankruptcy just before this.
So all those things are, what theaters are going to be available to open them up, and then it's all weird because also the different loans, quote unquote, or bailouts from the stimulus that passed the U.S. How's that going to work? I don't know. That's a whole nother economics and government podcast or two, and
And since we're global, it's not going to affect what the U.S. does with stimulus. Isn't going to directly affect a lot of our listeners. Uh, but let's hope your local theater chains can come back from this. I mean, we've unfortunately in the U.S. most of the small theater chains no longer were showing movies in 3D. Because when the market pretty much became just real 3D mostly in the theaters, it was just AMC and Regal that were playing them here.
yeah, it become harder and harder.
Yeah, there was one independent theater that was the studio living room theaters, which I never go to because I don't have any parking, and they're 50 miles from me.
So, we'll get to the 3D aspect of these movies next, but just one thing at a time here. Black Widow. So is this okay? One question one: will this movie leak before it comes out? Yes or no?
Oh, I would say there's a good chance.
I think there's good chances of all of them getting leaked, unfortunately. I mean, Disney and Marvel are amazing at this, but it's just a matter of time, because the demand is there. So that's one thing. We both think it's probably going to leak before it comes out.
But New Mutants hasn't leaked yet, so
Yeah. Is it going to be a big movie? Outside of COVID-19, I don't think this was tracking very high. I think people like Black Widow a lot, and if this movie would have come out a long time ago, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, it would have done better. But now I feel like maybe,
and I don't know if people want to go back to the movie theaters.
and I think some of it too is just the simple fact that we know of her eventual how things work out with Endgame, Avengers Endgame. So, it's another scenario. You said it before, it's like Solo. We know where this story eventually ends. So this prequel might be interesting, it might be fun. It's one of those things where are people really gonna care? And I, I think some of it too is, I hate to say it, but the misogynist, sexists of the world may be like, I don't want to see another woman superhero movie, and they may not give it a chance. It didn't stop Captain Marvel from being a hit, but
Yeah, it's a big hit. I mean, $1 billion is nothing to sneeze at. And there's also a lot of people, they don't like Scarlett Johansson. They think she's abrasive, but they say the same stuff about, hell, just about any actress in Hollywood that will dare express a real opinion. So, but I really think the big thing is, uh, even before the theaters shut down, when I was still going to, taking my chances, put my mask on and go to the theater and take my can of Lysol and spray down the seat because I knew damn well the local theater was not wiping seats down. Uh, I would be, there'd maybe be one or two other people in the theater, and there were many screenings. I was literally the only person, and that was very rare before. But since December, it was pretty common for me to be you know, even in, times that would be busy, there weren't people. Like when I went to see Bloodshot, there was hardly anybody there.
It's one of those movies that's going to be really weird to it's going to be unfair to really see if it did well or did bad because expectations is so weird. I don't think even if somehow a miracle happens and COVID-19 just evaporates off the earth and everyone that's sick is healed instantly, I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. you know, so it just might be really rough going for any movies that come out. And Black Widow, I think is I want to see it. I like Scarlett Johansson a lot. I am not sexist or whatever. I'm 100% fine with this movie existing.
Oh,
So
I want to see it a lot, and I want to see it in 3D, and I want to
yeah,
see it on the big screen. But that may not happen. Uh, I mean, we're coming into a brand new world because of COVID-19. This is the biggest pandemic in 100 years,
yeah,
and it's going to change. It's going to change the world like the 1918 flu changed the world.
yeah. So I don't know if one it was already done in 3D, right? So you did see a 3D trailer of this, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's not too worrisome. The 3D is going to exist here, I think. Now, is it going to be like one theater showing it, and and that's it?
And then, there's another thing we haven't talked about is Real 3D does the 3D for most movies, and they are also the major theaters would use the Real 3D system for the glasses in the theater. Uh, they're Since movies aren't being made, I don't see them. Are they going to come out of this fine, or are they going to cease to exist? I mean, I haven't heard a word.
Now, that's a good question. Good idea because I didn't think about that. But here in the US, we have a system where you can recycle your glasses, and you have a bin outside the specific cinema, and you just throw it in there, and they recycle it, quote unquote, or they wash it.
Hmm.
Now that's a whole different ball game where I don't know if I would trust that.
Okay, most of the glasses they didn't. What they would do, they didn't. They would recycle them. They wouldn't wash them.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Real
getting
three,
at.
yeah, Real 3D. They would scrap them and recycle them. There was a couple other systems that were used that did steam clean the glasses, but they had a lot heavier lenses. The Real 3D glasses have like a little sheet of plastic on a plastic frame. They don't hold up real well for repeat uh, use because at one time I had hundreds of them, and I've over the years have popped out the lenses in several of them, cleaning them between uses.
Now that so what I'm getting at, Jake, I think you're in agreement with me. There might be a problem with germs and the glasses themselves,
Mhm.
and having enough quantities for people that do want to see it. I'm assuming they have a warehouse full of these, but maybe they stop production. I don't know.
Well, I'm just worried that that they might have decided that, we don't want. I mean, Real 3D may not survive this shutdown because I mean, how can they convert movies if there's no movies being made? I mean, because movie production has stopped.
Yeah, I don't think Real 3D does that kind of thing. I think they help with the theaters themselves, but there's like individual.
They do conversions.
They do?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure about that, but
Yeah, I love real. Yeah, I like Real 3D. I've always because see my TV, old school LG, is uses the Real system, so that's why I always went to go see Real 3D movies because I could just take the glasses home and use them at home.
because I know there's different production houses that do 3D, so for different companies. So it just depends.
And we're talking passive. My system's passive, just like the movie theaters. I can remember at one time, didn't IMAX use active glasses at one time?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember either because I didn't do much IMAX because I didn't feel like paying $35 to see a 30-minute 3D documentary.
About animals.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, wrapping up with this Black Widow. A lot of things are against it. I mean, it should be a great movie. I don't really expect this to be a bomb or anything, but
Yeah.
it might end up being a bomb, and not because of any fault of anyone. And a good spy thriller would be a fun thing to kind of escape to. But I guess we'll see in November if it comes out. But let's keep going to the Eternals. Now, this is pretty interesting, Jake. We have not seen anything about the Eternals at all, right?
Yeah, all we've seen is Camille Namjami's results of his workout.
So, like, I think occasionally they've seen like some people's pictures, like in costumes or something. Not really real costumes, but like clothes.
Yeah, and this is one of Jack Kirby's one of his more obscure creations for Marvel. I'm like one of the few people I know that actually read them. Of course, I didn't start reading them until I would say 76, 77, that time, because I was kind of late to Marvel books. Because I grew up on a military base, and anybody who knows their history of Marvel knows that AFI's shit-canned all Marvel books because Stan Lee refused to change discussing the Vietnam War in the books. Yeah, they wanted Marvel to be like Gomer Pyle, just pretend the war wasn't happening, which is what DC did in their books.
So going back to the Eternals, we haven't seen a teaser trailer, we haven't seen a poster, we really haven't seen anything. And even before the whole COVID-19 pandemic, it was pretty dark on that movie. Like, we did not see anything. So that was really kind of concerning, because we usually see a trailer or a teaser, a year out.
Yeah, we hadn't seen much of anything. I mean, we were just, there was so much speculation on who was playing who and who was the lead and how things fit together. And I think a lot of it is because people are even less familiar with the Eternals than they were with Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was my next talking point, that the Eternals are one of the real gambles of Marvel, because I don't know who they are. I am pretty comic book nerd, and I'm not sure about this one. This might be too out there. Marvel's formula is great, but it might still be. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. The same kind of bad feeling I got about Inhumans.
But I've been hearing stories that it's based on Neil Gaiman's reboot, which is a lot more accessible, I think, to modern audiences than Kirby's original run.
So it's going to have all new characters, right? We don't know. We've never seen any of these characters on screen before. Like, the only thing they may even touch on, like, a baby Thanos, but that might not be until like the end or something. But everyone else might not be there. We don't know. We don't have any connection to any of these characters at all, right?
Yeah, heck, we don't even know if Thanos will be in it. I mean, just because he's an Eternal in the comics doesn't mean he's going to be in the MCU.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think they probably should, mention that, because it just would confuse people. It's best just to move on. Because I don't know when that's supposed to be set. I'm assuming it's set in contemporary times, but that doesn't mean anything to us. But you know what I mean?
Well, the Eternals, if they're going to do the Eternals, you would have their story probably span over the centuries, especially with them adding the Black Knight character, because he's another obscure Marvel character whose character there were various incarnations through history. Kind of like the Phantom, the ghost who walks. Different people take up the mantle.
So that's going to be February 12th, and a Valentine's Day movie, which...
Yeah, you can go in the theaters and see it with your sweetheart while you're wearing hazmat suits.
So then that pushed Shang-Chi, or how do you pronounce that, Jake?
Shang-Chi.
Which had that date before, to May 7th. Now, this one, is going to be a fun kung fu martial arts kind of movie. But again, we haven't seen anything about this. So, I mean, we know the actor, we know, like, it just like nothing. So, a lot of this is really out there stuff.
Dude, I'm just hoping. I mean, I want to see this so bad. I'm like going, do I have to row a boat across the Atlantic or the Pacific to go see this? I mean, I want to see this so bad on the big screen. Just the thought of Tony Leung Chiu-wei in a Marvel movie is just so exciting.
Now,
I mean, watch this man read a phone book.
Now, I'm assuming that Black Widow is essentially done.
Oh, I'm sure it's ready to go.
Yeah, they might be touching up CG work here and there, but
they would be smart to take advantage of this downtime.
So now the Eternals, I don't know if that got stopped in production. Everything got stopped in Hollywood.
Oh, all filming stopped. Now the thing is, certain things can be done on somebody's computer in their home.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is still going on.
Some stuff can be done at home. Editing. Some of the special effects and stuff could be done, but shooting with the actors, that's not happening. So is the February 12th, 2021, is that date just a placeholder date because they assume production's going to come back up, or did they have that production done?
Or are they going to try with green screen and Zoom?
Ugh. Just CGI all the characters and make it animated movies instead. But so yeah, Shang-Chi. I mean, I think that was really going to have a lot of hype around it. The first Marvel kung fu martial arts movie, and
yeah, they shut down pretty early because they had some COVID cases on their set.
So we don't know how far in production they are, if that, is just to have, a lot of movie studios behind the scenes, they don't really, I mean, if it's far out, like a year out, they plant the flag down and say, this is going to be our date. So that way other studios can either decide to move their date or to keep it, because obviously you don't want a situation where, 3 major movies come out the same weekend and then they get split up 3 different ways or 4 different ways,
Oh, and then there's all the wild rumors, and who knows how wild they actually are, because that Apple's considering buying Disney. They do have the cash flow to do it.
So, well, that's a whole other topic, but I'm just saying,
and it's just guys are speculating. There's been no offer. It's just a lot of business suits. Yeah, they're fanboys too, and they like to speculate. They speculate more about mergers and buyouts than they do about who would win a fight. It's weird, but hey.
So these dates are mostly to plant a flag and say, this is my date, this is my weekend, this is my week, get out of the way, and they don't know. I don't think most of them know if production will be done by then. I mean, I'm guessing the CEO of Disney knows, or Marvel, but I mean, they're not going to tell us, or not. That's
Look, they're just trying to move forward the best they can. They're trying to keep their stock from plummeting, and they're not getting much help from the federal government.
So now Doctor Strange 2 is November 5th, 2021, which I don't remember when the last date for that movie was before this, but I was totally fine with Doctor Strange always being a fall movie,
There really hadn't been a date announced officially. And a lot of that was, and they postponed even announcing anything because Scott Derrickson chose to leave. And if you want to know more about that, you can go look up his account on Twitter. He has offhandedly made some remarks that you can from them you can infer why he left. Since it's his stuff, I'm not going to repeat it. Go look it up, and you can draw your own conclusions.
So going back on there, it's just a matter of okay, so what's going to happen with the TV shows? Because all the Disney Plus TV shows connected to this, because we were supposed to have WandaVerse, and then WandaVerse connects to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Insanity, or what is it called again? Doctor Strange 2, whatever, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So those shows got stopped production too. I don't know if those are done filming or if they're wrapping up or if they wrapped up beforehand and just doing special effects now. You know, will those TV shows that come out the week before the movie comes out? Because if the connect, people might get confused, you know. So that's weird there. It's such a hard thing to talk about because we don't know everything going on. And then Black Panther 2, which, I mean, I assumed was happening. Now it's 2022. I don't know what that's going to be about. We haven't had any kind of inkling on, you know, we knew that it was existing, but we didn't know that that was going to be coming. And I don't know what villains Black Panther really usually goes against or anything. I mean, May 6th is a good time frame, so.
Yeah, well, we don't have. Look, like I said before, this is wishful thinking on their part. They're planting flags. They're trying to show that they're still viable and they're still, yeah, don't pay that. We'll get through this. I mean, they're doing the things multinationals try to do in times of adversity. I mean, Disney just furloughed their employees.
Yeah.
Of course, to be fair, Iger did take a 100% pay cut, and the new guy took a 50% pay cut. Which, hey, this is his first time getting the super big checks, so he probably needs some bank. So, but they were paying people for a while. They're about to stop.
Do you know who Black Panther villains are, or do you have any ones that?
Yeah, we've seen most of them, and several of them have been turned into good guys. Because some of Black Panther's cast of characters are pretty damn racist by today's standards. Well, they were racist back then, but
they tolerated it more.
yeah, like Manape. Ugh. But he's been turned into one of the coolest characters in the background of Black Panther. Claw was the big one. He's dead.
Now, I like this idea. We haven't had, you know, it's a rumor and it's like speculation and it's, you know, theory. But I really like the idea of having the Submariner be the villain.
Submariner.
Yeah. They kind of hinted that in Avengers Endgame that there was an underwater earthquake.
Yeah, Atlantis.
So that could be totally cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I love Namor. I know his rights have been at Universal forever. So either Marvel got him back or Universal and Disney cut a deal. Which could be possible. But at this point in the Marvel universe, using Namor as a villain would be a good idea because he's always been more or less an anti-hero.
Now, it's interesting because Namor was first, and then Aquaman came, and then Aquaman became, I think, a lot more popular, a lot more well-known. And then, am I wrong, or?
No, Namor was just one of these great characters, and but he was such a singular vision of his creator, Bill Everett. Nobody's really done the character justice, really, other than his creator. I mean, there have been some decent stories, but there hasn't been anything as wonderful as Bill Everett's take on his creation.
Now, I also like the idea of Doctor Doom being introduced, and maybe this could be like the first failure of him, is to try and take over Wakanda, and That way you could introduce, this fantastic character that has not been really done yet because of Fantastic Four and Fox. But now that they have it, Doctor Doom has always had really bad roles in movies.
Oh God, don't even get me started. Doom is such a great character, but so far his appearances on the screen have been awful. I was hoping they were gonna introduce Doom in Ant-Man 3, because I thought it would have been hilarious if Hank Pym and Victor Von Doom were college buddies or something, or rival scientists. That would be hysterical. Or that's the only scientist that Hank Pym gets along with. Everybody else in the world but Doom. Doom likes him. That would be hysterical.
You did mention Ant-Man 3. Now, I don't know if you knew about this news. It also came out yesterday, April 3rd, that Payne Reed is back as director, and the writer, Jeff Loveness, and co-producer of Rick and Morty is going to be doing the script for it.
Ah, awesome news. So that's finally been confirmed. I've been hearing rumors. I didn't know it was confirmed yet.
Okay, it's from Hollywood Reporter, so that is exclusive, and
they're pretty legit.
They did kind of say that it's a bit, reported but not publicly announced yet. So that's the difference, But I would absolutely trust Hollywood Reporter over some blog, like us.
Yeah.
But, so
I would trust us because we don't quote those blogs. We stick with the legit news.
Yeah,
we don't go with some angry man on the microphone who's trying to be the comic book version of Alex Jones.
Rick and Morty, I know that a lot of people hate the fans, but I do love that show. I think it's hilarious, and I think it's a great successor to Futurama for me. I love it. I love Rick and Morty. So I don't love the fans, but
no, I just don't like the fans who were too stupid to make their own Szechuan sauce.
So, yeah, Ant-Man 3.
I'm like going, Szechuan sauce is almost as easy to make as Rice Krispie treats.
So
they must be starving in the apocalypse. I mean, they must be starving to death. I mean, really? You freak out because McDonald's doesn't have enough Szechuan sauce for you?
Did McDonald's say they're going to do that for Mulan when it comes out, or no? I don't know.
I don't know. Don't care. Because like I said, I can make my own Szechuan sauce. I can make it several. Heck, I even have apocalyptic versions of it that you could just mix pre-made stuff together and have a. But this is a 3D movie show. This is not Jake's cooking for the apocalypse. So
that's another podcast for Patreon,
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, we have no idea when Ant-Man 3 is supposed to be coming out or what the plot of that is, because they kind of wrapped up things pretty nicely in Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I guess the ghost could be something there. I don't know.
I don't even think the script has been written at this point, so it's nice to see that Michael Douglas pushing for it and then opening his big mouth, spilling beans about it worked. Of course, so because at one time there were rumors going around that they were gonna move it to Disney Plus and make it a Disney Plus show.
All right, so let's keep going here. So Black Panther 2, it still 2022 feels like forever from now. So
is Ryan Coogler still directing?
The Verity article, I don't see it anywhere. But let's just keep going. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about with this. So all right, Thor, Love and Thunder. I don't remember getting a date for that either. Just like soon. So
like I said, they buried the lead in this story. Yeah, because there hadn't been a date.
Now this is the first the female Thor. I don't know if it's a reboot or how they're going to handle that. They have to talk about it is this like a transition thing where Thor is in this movie and then hands the reins over to, you know,
I imagine, and you notice they didn't have any announcements for whenever the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
yeah.
Well, James Gunn's pretty much said that. I think he said, don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not going to go digging around Twitter to find out right now. But I think they've got filming wrapped for Suicide Squad, and and they're just able to work on it from their homes.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I'm not 100% sure on that one either.
And I haven't heard a date from Warner Brothers on that.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. And then Captain Marvel 2, that would be interesting as a almost July 4th, July 8th, 2022. I don't know Captain Marvel's villains, but I do hope this is a makes it for contemporary and we know what's going on because, you know, she's such a cosmic character, you know, so powerful. We have to figure out, you know, I think we just there needs to be more about who she is now and what she's been doing since Endgame. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard anything about it other than it was happening. Well, duh. The minute it hit 1 billion, you knew that was happening. They didn't have to say anything. You knew it was getting a sequel. I mean, I am assuming it's going to be set post Endgame, that it's not going to be another period piece, and it's not going to be mostly about Nick Fury and Shield, as opposed to being about her.
yeah, that's ultimately a good thing because I did like Captain Marvel movie, but I did feel like Shield and Nick Fury were a big part of that movie, bigger than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah, I was like going, damn, I really want a Nick Fury movie.
a young Nick Fury movie at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going here. That's basically it for Marvel Cinematic Universe news, because you know Disney does own that. So let's keep going. Soul, Disney's Pixar Soul is still apparently going to be the same time, which has not, I'm surprised that hasn't been pushed yet, but it's still apparently coming out the same time as it was before.
Oh, it's determined to make my prediction that it's going to win the Academy Award for Best Animated Movie in the Oscars in 2020 come true.
So Soul is apparently now I don't the only one of the only 3 movies coming out this year. I don't know. The only Soul is the only one coming out this summer besides SpongeBob. Soul coming out on June 19th. So
I guess some states are letting drive-ins stay open.
So maybe.
And why they didn't do that in this state, because you're perfectly safe inside your car with the windows rolled up.
So yeah, Soul is apparently still coming out June 19th. That's probably going to change. But
Yeah.
we did. Mulan did get officially changed. Mulan is now July 24th this year, 2020.
Yeah, that's changing.
So that's going to be interesting to see if that sticks. You know, that was supposed to come out last week.
I would keep an eye on the news about Chinese theaters, because they were about to open and then they closed them again. Well, they didn't reopen them, actually. So I would keep an eye on the news about what China's going to do with the theaters, because I think that's what Disney's waiting to find out, because that's where they see the big money for that movie is coming out of mainland China.
So Jungle Cruise, which used to have July by itself, or July, end of July, now is delayed an entire year to July 29th, 2021. July 20th, sorry.
Yeah, that's a smart assumption to make because as much as some guys are thinking this could go 2 years, there have been some other pandemics that have been shortened considerably by because of modern medicine. So there is a chance we might be able to go back to somewhat normalcy next year. We'll see.
So just because I bungled that, I'm going to say it again. Jungle Cruise is now coming out July 20th, 2021. And that pushes Indiana Jones 5, which was supposed to come out that time, which is now apparently going to come out 2022, which, oh my God. Just leave that alone.
I don't even think they filmed that.
Yeah, and Harrison Ford is still supposed to play Indiana Jones, which is ridiculous. I mean, it was ridiculous in the last movie, The Crystal Skull. I kind of like that movie. I know it's dumb, but I thought it was fun. But it was ridiculous then, and now in 2 years from now, he's gonna be like 95 years old or something.
Yeah. I mean, he's older than Sean Connery when he played his dad.
If they want to reboot Indiana Jones, that's fine too. I'm okay with that. Really, it's fine. You don't have to have Harrison Ford come back.
Or because the actor they chose to take over was River Phoenix, and when he died, I think they've kind of decided that the character is going to kind of go away with Harrison Ford. I mean, I would do that because look at how Solo did recasting. He's just one of those actors people won't accept a character. I mean, the only character I think film audiences have ever accepted being recast that Harrison Ford played was Jack Ryan.
Um, so Harrison Ford is actually 77. In 2 years, he'll be 79, not 90. But that's still, he's a rough 77.
So quit making jokes about Corona being boomer remover because he's a boomer. So that's proof positive that all boomers aren't evil.
But I mean, he looks old and he looks ready to retire from films. I mean, I love Harrison Ford. Don't get me wrong. I love him. I think he's a great actor.
Harrison Ford looked like he was bored with making movies and when he did Star Wars.
Yeah. Here's an idea, Jake. How about you recast Harrison Ford, and make Indiana Jones, make Aldrin Endrich play him. You know, Han Solo. Just have him reprise every single Han role from Harrison Ford. You did, Solo before. Now he could do the new version of Indiana Jones.
I just think Hollywood is waiting to digitally recreate actors. So they're going to take all the most popular actors and they're going to digitally recreate them and cast them and everything. Speaking of that, have we heard anything more about that idiotic Vietnam War movie that they're going to digitally recreate James Dean?
Oh, I don't know about that. Or I thought Shia LaBeouf was supposed to be the new Indiana Jones because that's how they hinted the last movie, Crystal Skull, right? That he's the son or something, right?
I don't know. All I know is there was such a blowback for him being cast in that.
So, yeah, I don't know if Indiana Jones is still really going to happen. I don't know if they started filming that at all. But apparently it's going to be coming out July 29th.
Yeah, it's right now it's wishful thinking, and heck, you would think after Harrison Ford nearly died on the last set of Star Wars, because when he had that major leg break and it was really bad, that he would want to stay off film sets even more than he did before.
Yeah, so who knows? It's supposed to be a 2022 release. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore at all.
I think we'll see New Mutants before we see that.
All right, you want to talk about that New Mutants since we don't have a release date for that yet?
Yeah, guess what? New Mutants' date has changed again.
It's delayed again, and this is like the 10th time.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess file it with Gambit, which never even got. I don't even think they even got a script for Gambit.
I think they may have gotten the script, but they didn't actually like film any of it. So that's why it never got anywhere. But this movie's done. It basically is ready to go, but just didn't get released. So
Yeah, it's been ready to go for years. I mean,
well,
there's entertainment shows waiting to run their filmed thing, waiting for the embargo to lift so they can air their on-set visits.
because like they changed the whole movie, and apparently I think an executive saw the new take and they're fine with it. But this movie is just release it on Hulu. I've said it 100 times already. Just release it on Hulu and move on. If you want to have it be a Halloween release, and just fine, whatever. It's not part of the MCU. It's a Hulu exclusive. Put it on Halloween, a week or two before Halloween, and you're done. And that's probably fine. So let's keep going here. Artemis Fowl. Now, this movie, I wasn't sure if it was 3D or not, because I could have swore that the first trailer said it, but then the second trailer didn't.
It was the first. I saw a 3D trailer for this. It was originally going to be 3D. Then it gets pulled. Now it gets pulled again. And then the new trailers, there was no mention of 3D. And I never saw a 3D trailer for the. And then now it looks like it's going to Disney Plus.
Yep, it's going to premiere on Disney Plus on May 29th, which is fine. I was kind of interested in this movie, but not like super interested in it. So it's fine that
I would say between this and Trolls 2, it just shows that 3D is really getting kicked to the curb.
So yeah, that's all the Disney delays because of the coronavirus, the COVID-19. Production is stopped on all these movies, so post-production it's a mess, and these are just kind of placeholder times, And then okay, we need to talk about the 3D aspect. So finishing up these movies is first priority because they want to get these out. Now 2 is 3D. Are they going to have time to convert it? Will they have extra time to convert it and make it amazing looking in 3D? I don't know. I don't think so.
Or are they going? I mean, 3D is something somebody can do in their home.
Well, in theory, yeah, if they have a really super computer at home, but
yeah, or one person in a hazmat suit could sit there and supervise it. It doesn't need an office full of people side by side breathing on each other to do it.
It could be something like, a working from home and people that have Mac Pros, that are, super fast and they could work, they have clouds working.
And probably several computers would work on different segments of the movie. Somebody's not going to put the whole 2-hour movie in their computer and push a button and go convert. It's more complicated than that. I could see somebody working on 5 minutes at a time.
So yeah, it could take weeks. It might is a key word, a good sign. Maybe the Eternals will have a fantastic conversion. I don't know.
It could be they just decide we're just gonna jettison 3D. Because, I mean, we don't even know if Regal or AMC, if they're going to reopen. But, we're not talking when. We don't even know if. I mean, we may, all of a sudden, the world may say, it's just not worth it. We didn't like going to the movies before because it was expensive. The theaters are dirty. The presentation's not that great always. Concessions are super expensive.
And it's sad because I do like going to the movies. I do like that experience, even if it is expensive. And I do have,
In theory, but like you've heard me on this podcast rant and rave about my theater. I mean, they forget to turn the 3D on. They can't focus. I mean, geez, they hit a button for to autofocus. They don't have to do it by hand. They don't even have to thread a projector. I mean, it's a platter now. It's as easy as putting in a Blu-ray in a Blu-ray player.
I don't know if it's that easy, but I do agree that it's a lot easier than it was back 50 years ago when they had the projector
Yeah,
and
it is so much easier now. Because not only do you thread the film, you got to run it through the projector, but you also got to get there's a strip for the sound, and you got to thread it through the Dolby and all that. Oh God, it's a pain. And then you got to use the lubrication to make sure you don't scratch the print.
it's always good to use lubrication, Jake. Always good.
Yeah. 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 And and then focusing can be a pain in the ass because wasn't auto. You had to do it by hand.
Yeah, make sure you're focused but when you're doing it by hand and using plenty of lubrication.
So now are we going to start talking about glory holes?
Oh, okay. That sounds like a good wrap to the podcast. You're not talking about sex. So, um,
Well, I guess it is now that kind of podcast.
so okay. Your point being, Jake, that it's widely inconsistent what your movie-going experience will be. Is that your summary?
Yeah.
And it's easier for movie studios or movie theaters than it was in the past. So it's more frustrating when you do have a widely inconsistent experience from, and then sometimes you may have a fantastic experience, and sometimes you may have a crappy experience, and you don't know if that crappy experience is because the people that did the 3D were lazy, or if the theater didn't have the right equipment to make the 3D great. You don't know, and you don't know if I don't know if any of these movies will get 3D release. Period.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then there's another little thing that nobody's talking about, and everybody seemed to forget. In the U.S., the Department of Justice wants to overturn the Paramount decree. That was the law that broke up the monopoly of the studios owning the movie theaters. So with the sad shape that the theaters are in, I could see the studios jumping in and buying them for pennies on the dollar.
That's interesting. Yeah, that could be a scenario where Disney says, "Screw yes, we'll buy Regal."
They can go, oh, and by the way, you want to see any of our movies, you can only see them at Regal.
Yeah.
That's what would happen. And it's like, oh, and the first 2 weeks, ticket prices will be $20.
Which would be terrible, but yeah. And that's 2D only, by the way. 3D is 50.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And then Disney Plus a year later. So that might actually, we're kind of laughing and joking, but that's not completely unfeasible.
Oh, this is basically what they did. That there was a reason why the government of the United States stepped in and broke it up, because they would do things like this. Only let the theaters they own show certain movies. Other theaters, chains that they didn't own, they would strong arm them. You want the #1 movie of the year? Fine. You're going to give us 80% of the box office, and you're going to show these 6 other turkeys that we don't want to show in our theater.
Yeah, and they could be, all right, fine. You'll have other movies, but those movies get horrible times and days that no one really wants to go to. No one's going to go see Trolls World Tour at 2:45 a.m., on a Wednesday.
I believe the theaters had a fit about Trolls 2 going to
digital. Yeah.
Go on demand before the theaters. Dude, the studios landed on a hand grenade for you. I don't have to see Trolls 2 to know that ain't going to make a whole lot of bank. I saw the first one. I can't believe they made a second one.
So, okay, just to wrap up, let's try to wrap up again. The idea that the theater chains may go bankrupt before the end of this pandemic is actually very plausible. And then the idea that these big companies like Universal or Disney may buy up these, now dead, defunct um, cinema chains is also plausible. And it all may be all weird and outside the U.S. too, because I don't know what rules govern other parts of the Europe or China or whatever, but it's all going to be really hairy and really confusing. And I'll just watch, Jake. 5 minutes after I post this podcast, we'll get a new change.
Hmm. Of course. And then 5 minutes after this drops, it'll change again. And then we'll come back and do yet another update in our undisclosed bunkers.
So it's all a matter of, we don't know, one, if any of these movies will get 3D release anymore. I assume at least Black Widow, because they already did that. That's already done. But the rest may not. If they do get it, we don't know if they ever will get a 3D Blu-ray release. And of course, Disney Plus does not have 3D option, so you may never see it at home in 3D if they don't get a 3D Blu-ray. And then 3D Blu-rays, are becoming harder and harder to buy and find. So God knows if they ever come out. So
Uh, Several 3D Blu-rays I had on pre-order, I've been told are delayed very long time because the priority is to ship out toilet paper and hand sanitizer and medical equipment.
So it's all really up in the air, and we're trying to give you entertainment here. We're trying to cover the news here, and it's just a moving target, and we don't really know. I mean, all these dates are going to change probably, and we don't know if they're going to be 3D. We don't know if any of these movies get just canned. Artemis Fowl just going directly to Disney Plus. Some of these may end up going there, and just move on, and that's it. But they don't want to do that.
Some of these may never get filmed.
And some of these, like you're right, may never get filmed. And people think, oh, the movie theaters are just evil. Well, okay, some of it is true. I won't deny that. But I will say this: the movie theaters don't make that much money off of the films. They make money off the concessions. That's why popcorn is $7 for a small or whatever. Because that's where they make money. They don't make money on you going to go see Onward or whatever. That's where the moneymaker is. The concessions, is the soda that costs $4, no refills or whatever. That's where they make the money. And right now, since they're closed and not opening back up, they're not getting any revenue. In theory, they should have a emergency fund but most places aren't. Some theaters I saw on Twitter are send popcorn to help pay for staffers because the owners feel bad. Those are the small mom and pop places, but it's just a
Some
mess.
of these theaters, I joke, they should sell their toilet paper.
And you talked about this before. I'm okay with the idea of drive-in theater coming back. That would be IMAX could make so much money on that because you would want a huge screen because you're going to be in your car. So having an IMAX drive-in would be awesome, and that might be a way that a whole family could watch a movie. And I don't know how the windshield is going to make things weird for 3D, if that's going to be possible, but we may see a big.
They couldn't probably do work 3D in because the glass
Yeah, the windshield.
interfere. Because the windshield would definitely interfere.
So I don't know how that, and then if there's good spots to park that are not going to be good, and that's, but you may have to have drive-in theaters take over for a little while. That way, that might be something that drive-in theaters were basically extinct except for like one or two here and there. So maybe that's how you watch some of these movies. You go to a drive-in.
Yeah, if you live somewhere where drive-ins are still open, I would recommend going. Uh, Drive-in theaters are a lot of fun. I mean, it won't be as much fun because probably the concession stand uh, may or may not be open. What I would do is if there's one open in your area, try to call them or email them or text them, or contact them if they've got a Twitter account or an Instagram account. Ask them because I
Yeah,
mean here I can't believe they shut them down
over here,
because
I saw that they're open, but a lot of the drive-ins near me show really old movies, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna drive 30 minutes to watch the Italian Job, or it
oh,
seems
the
like,
Italian it's the original Italian Job. It's worth it.
well,
The remake,
yeah,
the
remake,
remake, not so. I mean, I like the remake.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It just, to me, it doesn't need a humongous screen to enjoy it. Now, the original, I enjoy it on a small screen too, but it's worth seeing on a big screen. It's worth going out of your way.
So yeah, the last time I went to drive-in was a couple of years ago, and we had like a double feature of Ghostbusters and the original Addams Family, the 1991 or 1990, whatever. And the way it worked was that it just plugged into your stereo. You had to go to a specific channel on your stereo, the radio stereo, and you could go get food, but the concession stand was basically a tractor trailer kind of thing. You just walk up to it, and then they have four options, a food truck basically, and then you go back to your car, and you pay before you get in, and people scan your receipt over your phone, and that's how you got in, and it worked. Now it wasn't ideal. You do have to have your car battery on for 2 hours, and that might kill some people's cars. you know.
Mm, some have the old speakers that you didn't have to have your car on. Others used radio. Some of them I used to because before I got Prius, I just had a portable radio and I would dial it to the AM station to pick up and left my car off because there's no way I was leaving my car battery running for 4 hours for a double feature.
That's a good idea. That's a good way of doing it. Just get a little speaker that has radio, and just do it that way instead of burning your gas for 2 hours, which is really bad environmental.
I just had just a little portable radio and I just hung it from my rear view mirror because I was sitting in the driver's seat, so it didn't interfere with me seeing. Now I had to move it when I took people with me because they bitched because they couldn't see. But hey, no plan is perfect.
So maybe drive-ins come back at least temporarily. Obviously drive-ins have their problems too. If you don't have a car, I know.
Another, well, if you didn't have a car, it wouldn't be safe.
Yeah,
But there's been some talk of there's some places that do what they call mobile theaters, where you can get an inflatable screen. You can get them on Amazon pretty cheap, under a few $100s. What by cheap? You're not having to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for it. Uh, and you can use a projector. Heck, if you bought one of those Halloween projectors that at Lowe's or something, or Christmas projectors, you can run a movie through most of them. So you could pop some speakers on, set up a screen, and people can park their car. You could do it in a lot of small towns. Do it in the summer. This could be an idea. Just talk to your local government about, because they may these days they want to make sure people are social distancing and keeping safe, and they may go for you doing something like this to safely entertain people.
I know my local government does summer in the park, and their park they do old movies, and that's something they do. But I don't know if they're gonna do it this year. And obviously now they need to figure out how to take care of their citizens or their residents, more important than watch movies. But
Yeah, this isn't a high priority for them right now.
Yeah, but it might be the future. It might be at least a way to get by until things get better.
Town is trying to deal with the homeless problem, exacerbated by jackass landlords throwing people out who lost their jobs.
I know Alamo Draft House had like some drive-ins, but there weren't drive-ins, and they would have like a pool, and they would show like Jaws. They make it an event. That might be how movie theaters really, movie theaters have been experimenting with events for a long time. They've had the D box, they have the 4DX, trying to make it more than just watching a movie in a bigger screen than you have at home. So that might be the way to get back people. We've talked this before. 3D is a way to get people to come out, because if you have great 3D, you may not get a 3D Blu-ray of it, and you may have a once a lifetime opportunity to watch it. And
And if and since most television production companies aren't making 3D televisions anymore, if you want to watch 3D at home, you can go with virtual reality.
yeah, virtual reality, you're basically in a virtual theater, might be something that comes up. Maybe Sony buys this theaters and, has this set up. We're in a weird, unprecedented time where we don't know if these movies we talked about, these Disney movies, will come out. I'm assuming Disney knows for sure that maybe some of these will come out. Some of these may just get canceled altogether, depending on development and how much money they spent.
You don't even know. I mean, like I said, big business guys are speculating that Apple is going to buy Disney. I mean, I've been hearing that for about 6 months now, and in the last 2 months, it's been a fever pitch. Who knows?
So yeah,
I mean, I remember years ago hearing, did you hear Disney wants to buy Fox? And people said, nah, never happened. Well, we are now living in the post Disney owns Fox world.
so we never know what's gonna happen. Just stay subscribed. We're gonna try to do podcasts on a regular basis at what we can, but I mean, obviously, we can't review things if they don't come out, and we. So
And I will eventually get to some discs, and I will be doing some stuff, and I won't make them too long. I'll try to not ramble too much, and I'll send them over to Adolf here, and he'll post them eventually. We'll get some stuff up.
we're gonna try. We're gonna try to find ways to give you content one way or another. We're gonna try. We're gonna give us we're gonna try to make this lemon into lemonade, and we're gonna see what we could do. But unless you see a podcast feed saying this is the end of the website, last podcast, we're gonna continue on. But for now, we're gonna continue on, and we're gonna try to give you content. It may not be as a regular basis, may not get weekly podcasts, but you may get them every month. We'll do what we can, So, yeah, that's basically it for this Disney delayed podcast. Anything else you want to say, Jake, real quick?
No, I think we've rambled on enough.
All right. Remember to use your lube and to.
Yeah, wash your hands.
Not with lube. Lube will help.
Yeah, and stay and either stay 6 feet from people or go 6 feet under. Your choice.
Trust the scientists. You may not want to trust your politicians, but trust the scientists.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for us. Bye.
Bye.
Before this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Kano3D and Mr. Bengal 5 for your financial support on patreon.com. So that's going to be it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Links are in the info box. If you want to send us listener mail, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.